みんな動くんじゃないよ。私は部長さ。みんなを背中に守れるなら、こんなに嬉しいことはないね。もし、当たりどころが悪かった時はさ、部活ロッカーの中に神棚を作って、私を軍神と称えてよ。次期部長はケイちゃんね。みんな、そん時は後をよろしく。
Mion is prepared to die. I'm already cornered. I won't accept any words of negotiation. Mion understands that. She doesn't want anyone else to be killed. That's why she chose to be a shield for her friends. That was an easy decision to make for her, because none of her friends would end up hurt. If she ends up just getting injured, that would be a stroke of luck as far as she's concerned. Even if she doesn't make it, she thinks that's far better than seeing any of her friends die. And that's why Takano will shoot. Even though she understands Mion's noble intentions painfully well, it's too visceral for her to accept, so she'll shoot. I will pull the trigger. With all the absurdities of the human world riding on that bullet, I will shoot her.
あなたたち、よくゲームはするわよね。トランプのババ抜きはやる？
やらないね。うちはジジ抜きばっかだよ。
同じようなルールよ。人の世の罪はババ抜きと同じ。誰もが一枚のババを互いに押し付け合う。それは勝者を求めるゲームではなく、私はそのババを引いた。そのカードを、もう渡す相手がいない。だから、その腹いせにあなたを撃つの。不条理な人の世らしくね。
I'm preparing myself to shoot. There's no hesitation left in me. I will shoot her. I'm serious. Mion closed her eyes and opened her arms to try to shield her friends as much as she could. And that was when Hanyu stepped forward and placed herself in front of Mion.
羽生、危ないから下がって。
勇敢なるミオン、あなたの勇気はそれで十分です。人の世のババ抜きが必ず人に押し付けられなければならないものならば、それを引き受けるのが私の役目。羽生、あんた何を？私も部活メンバーに加われてよかった。この世界はすごく楽しかったです。私も部活メンバーに加われてよかった。見ているだけじゃなく、加わる部活は本当に楽しかった。ありがとう。もう十分に楽しんだ。神の身には過ぎたくらいに幸せだった。
In that moment, Hanyu glared at me adamantly.
さあ撃て！人の子よ！人の世の押し付けずには済まぬ罪を放て！それを受け止めてやる。
わかったわ。わかったなら死ね！
Club members must have thought I was joking or bluffing. They didn't think that I would actually shoot. There was a noise like something exploding. In a world where time became as sticky as syrup, we saw it happen. A silver bullet hitting an invisible wall in front of Hanyu. As though the wall was protecting her. The bullet wanted to pierce Hanyu's chest, but it couldn't reach its goal. A bead of sweat formed on Hanyu's forehead. She had stopped the bullet with an invisible force.
大丈夫です。人の身でもこれくらいのことはできますです。
This human form is limiting. The silver bullet was being pushed back. Takano was startled by this otherworldly phenomenon, but then she spoke one phrase.
この化け物が！
The silver bullet smashed through that invisible wall. There was no longer a wall at all. There was no wall to protect Hanyu from the bullet. The bullet approached Hanyu's chest. Somebody let out a silent scream. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop that bullet. In that world of frozen time, nobody could stop the bullet that was stopped just inches in front of Hanyu's chest. Hanyu's friends had seen this scene before. The moment of checkmate. No matter how much they screamed, there was no way to avoid this tragedy. They knew that from their memories. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's pretty familiar.
あなたは死ぬ。好きなだけ走馬灯をご覧なさい。それが終わったら胸板をぶち抜かれて血をばらまいて、自分の血で溺れてのたうち回って死になさい。
その覚悟がなかったら、僕はミオンの前になんか出ないのです。
Hanyu thought that this would take care of everything. Hanyu wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. She would leave the stage and the rest of the cast would stay unharmed. This is how it's supposed to be. But in that moment, something happened to surprise even Hanyu. Is Akasaka going to come and karate chop the bullet? In the world of frozen time, in which nobody could move, Rika reached out and put her hand on the bullet that was stopped in midair. How could she move? Even Hanyu couldn't move. Why? Could a mere human like Rika grab that bullet?
それを驚くのはおかしいわ。あんたと学んできたんじゃない。奇跡の起こし方。今日何度もすごいことが起こったけれど、本当の奇跡なんて何一つ起こしちゃいないわ。すべて死んじゃえば起こって当然のことだった。だからこの最後の瞬間に本当の奇跡を使うわ。私、お社様の生まれ変わりだしね。最後にこの程度の奇跡は使わせて。
Rika rubbed the frozen bullet gently, very gently, and then held it, and embraced it lovingly, her hands at her chest. In that world where not even Hanyu could move.
高野も羽生も、人の話を聞かないやつだってことも分かったわ。ミオンの話を聞いてた？私たちは、ババ抜きなんてやらないわ。ジジ抜きしかやらない。それを高野は、同じようなゲームだと笑ったけど、全然違うゲームなのよ。
An old maid, a single joker, an unharmonized element is added to a full harmonized set of cards, and people try to foist it onto another. But an old bachelor, one card is removed from that harmonized world, and everyone foists the unharmonized fragments on each other. It's different than having a joker, because everything would be in harmony if there wasn't something missing. Players try to get rid of something in both games, but what they try to get rid of is very different.
ジジ抜きも同じ。敗者の手元に1枚カードが残って終わる。それを高野が同じだと例えた気持ちはよくわかるわ。でもね、違うの。だってジジ抜きは
If the missing card was added back in, there would be no loser. Hanyu, the missing card in this world, where someone has to foist their sins onto another, has joined the game. So this game has no losers. Yet you're still trying to take one card away? What a waste of a miracle.
敗者なんかこの世界にいらない。これがフルでリカが奇跡を求めた1000年の旅の最後にたどり着いた答えよ。
The answer has always been there. It was there in the very first game of Mion's Club. There there was always a loser because we were playing a game of cards with one missing. If we could fill in for the missing card by believing each other and helping each other, then it would complete a full deck of 52 cards. A complete world without a loser. A complete world where no one is left out. Nobody is to stay out of the circle. Nobody is to cry or be burdened with sins. A world where everyone holds each other's hands and forgives each other's sins. When people live, there will be sin. What's important isn't to avoid sins, but to forgive them. A world can only become ugly and twisted when people try to stay pure. Let us accept our sins. Let us all forgive. That's the answer Rika Furude reached. A complete world. A world free from the sins of the human world, where one is to become a loser. Rika reached that as a human being. After an unbelievably long time, she finally reached it. The frozen time had begun to thaw. There was smoke coming from the muzzle of Takano's gun, so it was definitely fired. However, nobody got hit. Keiichi looked around fearfully to make sure nobody was bleeding. They were all fine. Nobody had been shot.
外しやがった。
ざまあないね。
The tension lifted in Mion's body, and she began to sweat all over.
この私がこの距離で外すなんて。
All the club members thought the same thing. It was a miracle that the bullet didn't hit anyone. The club members had all felt the same way. They were all thinking, if it's going to hit someone, let it hit me. However, Rika Furude wished for a miracle that was far beyond that. Rika wished for a miracle that was higher than self-sacrifice. She wished for a world where the bullet wouldn't hit anyone. She wished for a world where Takano wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. Footsteps were rushing towards them. Takano tried to run, but she tripped over a root, and the scrapbook in her hand scattered everywhere. As she tried to gather up the papers, members of the Bloodhounds surrounded her. All the Bloodhounds pointed their guns her way, and some even poked her with them, but Takano still didn't stop gathering up the papers. Some of the men stepped on the papers, and Takano tried to pull them out from under them. She tried to pull them out, begging them in tears not to step on her precious papers.
高野さんさ、あなたを逮捕します。
私が全部悪い。
The club members, feeling bad for her, looked at the ground.
立て、両手を後ろに回せ。こら、抵抗するな。いや、いやよいや、おじいちゃんのスクラップ持ってくの。いや。
Takano just wanted to pick up the pages of her scrapbook. But the Bloodhounds, thinking that she was just resisting, pulled on her hair to make her stand up. Although this was her fate, it was too hard to watch her be treated that way. And then a noble voice resounded among them.
待て。
Radiating with divine light, a man appeared. They all knew this man very well, but they had never seen him look so determined.
調査部の富武2位だ。彼女は調査部が保護する。しかし、司令部から直ちに東京へ連行せよと命令を受けています。君たちは彼女を見て気づかないのか。彼女の全身を見ろ。かきむしった後でいっぱいじゃないか。ひなみ沢症候群のかなり高いレベルの発症が疑われる。
There were lots of horrible scars on her wrists, arms, and neck. Takano had scratched herself throughout the day because of all the stress. There was no way for anyone to be certain if those marks were symptoms of the syndrome. But when Tomitake said that, certainly sounded true.
しかしサンサは入江機関で予防薬の投与を受けているはずです。発症するわけがありません。
君たちは資料をちゃんと読んでいるのか。予防薬は 100% の効果を保証するものではないと書いてあるぞ。十分読んでいれば彼女の状態が末期症状であるとわかるはずだ。調査部は彼女の尋問にあたりひなみ沢症候群の治療が最優先されると考える。そもそも今回の事件が彼女の意思に基づくものなのか、末期発症による妄想錯乱によって引き起こされ、それを誰かが利用したのか。
Tomatake pulling out all the stops right at the end. I guess this is part of the miracle as well, right?
慎重な判断がなくては全容解明は不可能であると考える。彼女の罪なのか、彼女の病んだ病の罪なのか、この場で断言するのは不可能だ。それを判断するためにも彼女には治療を受ける権利があり義務がある。
次郎さん。
彼女を直ちに入江機関本部へ移送し、発症レベルの検査に入る。高野三佐の治療体制を準備させるよう入江二佐に連絡を。ただし三佐については今後厳重に監視をつけ、全ての行動には制限が加えられるものとする。詳細は調査部長岡一佐から上級司令部を通して命令があるはずだ。
The Bloodhounds conveyed all this information over the radio. Nobody had any objections. Their job was to arrest her, after all. Any interrogations or investigations after that were the job of investigations. So if those were the orders from investigations, then that was that. Tomatake walked over to the muddy figure of Takano.
次郎さん。
Takano buried her face in Tomatake's chest and cried. Only Tomatake and Takano knew the meaning of those tears.
遅くなったね。君を迎えに来たよ。
次郎さん。
君がそうだと思っているような悪い人じゃないな。やり直そう。今度こそ君の本当の人生。
できない。できない。できない。私、いっぱい罪にまみれた。やり直したりなんかしちゃいけない。死ななきゃいけない。じゃなきゃ。私は自分の罪の重さで。
そうだね。君の罪はひょっとすると軽いものじゃないかもしれない。でも大丈夫。僕が一緒だから。だから一緒に償おう。高野美代の罪を償おう。そして僕と一緒に田無美代子を取り戻そう。その日まで僕は決して君のそばを離れない。
生きてていいの？私は生きてていいの？みんながお前が死ねば丸く収まるって私に言うよ。それでも私は生きてていいの。それでも次郎さん、生きててもいいって言うの。それでも私は
世界は君を許さないかもしれない。でもそれが何だってんだ。僕が君を許すよ。だから生きよう。死ぬことは罪の償いにはならない。生きて償い、世界に許しを請おう。そしてやり直すんだ。そうしたらきっと思い出せる。君が本当はどんな人で、どんな風な笑顔を浮かべていたかをね。
After a while, Takano was taken to the Erie Institute in handcuffs. She was, however, handcuffed with her hands in front of her. She was holding the scrapbook. Tomitake had cleaned the mud off of it. The downpour from the earlier afternoon had passed. The cicadas began singing and reminding everything this was a normal June in Hinamizawa. It was so hot despite being June, and the sky was brilliantly clear. Someone asked someone else the time. She looked at her watch. It was 3 p.m. The Watanagashi festival would be starting at 5. It was almost time. Even from there, the Furude Shrine could be seen. There were red lanterns hanging all over. Once the sun went down, those lanterns would be lit. It was almost time for the Watanagashi festival. And with that, everything would end. When the Higurashi cry, the game that stretched across different worlds had ended. And what the winner obtained after their victory is that the game ended without a loser. Hanyu was prepared to leave after the game was over, but she was still there. She was allowed to be there. In other words, she wasn't the card that was taken away. The card that was taken to play their game of Old Bachelor was no longer there. The breeze rustled Hanyu's sweaty, messed up hair. She was dumbfounded. Rika went over and stood next to her. She didn't need to say anything. She only smiled at Hanyu. That girl had pretended to be a bystander, but decided to step onto the stage. And then she thought that was enough and tried to step off of it. With those memories of her bright time on stage, she tried to step off, but someone grabbed her sleeve and stopped her. She was told that she could stay. Then she realized she was still on the stage, and she didn't have to leave after all. There was a spot for her on the stage, and she was no longer a bystander. And that was an unbelievable miracle. She didn't even exist in the script. Nobody needed her to be there. But the miracle had allowed her to stay.
あれだけ苦労した旅だったのです。その程度の奇跡じゃ、ちょっと足りない気もしますですよ。ニパー。十分ですよ。こんな奇跡、僕の身には十分すぎて。
Rika smiled at Hanyu one more time and passed her what was in her right hand. Hanyu felt something cold and hard. What was it? Hanyu slowly opened her hand and looked at it. It was the bullet Takano had fired. This was the proof of their miracle. It was the proof that Hanyu could exist there. It was the proof that they could be together forever and ever.
もうすぐ暗くなってお祭りの時間になりますです。みんなで楽しくお祭りで部活なのです。もう脇で見てることなんかできませんです。きっと新人いじめの洗礼で罰ゲーム三昧でかわいそなのです。もう綿流しのお祭り見てるだけじゃないのですね。そうです。だってお祭りは見るものじゃなくて加わるものですよ。
Were they testing the speakers? It was still bright outside, but there was music playing already. The cheap dub BGM collection of festival music could be heard from the Furude Shrine in the distance. It sounded so exciting to her. This was what she had wanted to join in on all this time. Rika held her hand. Let's go together. Let's go to the Watanagashi festival. All of us. Together. Yeah. Jeez, this is a long set. I was just thinking, I don't even remember how long the first one was. I think it was like 3 hours, then I did an hour and a half, and now I'm at 2.5 hours. So that's 7 hours so far. Now obviously, not talking through it would take less time, but most of these sets are, you know, an hour and a half to 2 hours. That being said, I keep feeling like it's almost done. But I don't know. It has been like 2.5 hours. So I think I'm going to stop here. Later on in the week, I might pick it up. I'll see. I should mention, I'm actually preparing to move right now. So it's been a little hectic. I've been wanting to record a little more frequently. But like I said last time, I had some surgery done, which made it difficult to talk for long periods of time. And now I am preparing to move. And, well, this whole room that I'm in right now is just full of boxes of stuff to move later, so it's been busy and a lot of my free time's been taken up by that, unfortunately, but I think I should have some time later in the week to maybe finish this up. I'm hoping it's not more than about another half an hour to 45 minutes, but I've been wrong about that 3 times now, so it could be another 5 hours, who knows. But yeah, we'll stop here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will come back hopefully later in the week for more Higurashi. Probably the end, I would think, or if nothing else, I thought we would get an end soon for this section, and then we would have a bit more of like an epilogue. You know, that would be like another 2 hours, but maybe they're all just going to be kind of in one big section. Who knows? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time for some more Higurashi. Bye!